right, welcome to Real and Uncut. I have a special guest with me today. As you can see, this is Miss Felicia Roberts. And I'm just going to let her go ahead and introduce herself, and then we'll get into the whole solo parents and all the nitty gritty, all the good stuff, everything that I've always wanted to know, and then any questions that we have at the end. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Felicia.
Yes, well, I'm Felicia. I don't know what all you want to know about me, but I live here in Atlanta and single mom, and we'll get on into that. As a profession, I'm a pharmacist, and so I work, take care of kids, and working on some entrepreneur endeavors, and just living life day by day, enjoying life day by day. So I'm
I
ready to
hear
get in there
that.
with it.
Awesome, awesome. I will be going into some entrepreneurial type of business soon here. I haven't revealed all the details, but my close folks know. But I'm like, if I'm thinking about having some babies, I need some more income. So I'm definitely gonna, need a little something extra on the side. For anyone watching, as you can see from the title, and correct me if I'm wrong on this because this is just something that I learned over the internet. You have chosen to solo parent. Is that what we call it? Is that the correct
Yes,
information?
that's the
Okay.
word. Solo mom, solo parenting.
Okay.
hmm
Go ahead and just tell us the story of how you decided that you wanted to solo parent.
Well, I experienced a lot of infertility issues. Had several losses with trying to have kids, and it got to a point where I went to see a fertility specialist. I actually went to. It started because of one of my friends told me about a special presentation I can go to that
Okay.
talked about egg freezing and all like that, and for everyone who attended, they would get a free lab test to test your ovarian reserve. Um, and that kind of piqued my interest because back in 2010, I had a very scary incident where I had to get rushed to the hospital from home. And it turned out that I had
Oh, you
a
popular
cyst.
over there.
I know, let me turn this off.
That's all right. Go ahead.
It turned out that, give me one second. Okay, it turned out that I had a cyst on my ovary that had ruptured,
Oh,
and I
wow.
was actually hemorrhaging inside. So I had to get rushed to the hospital because I was at home and I just almost fell out. And by the grace of God, it was over Thanksgiving weekend. My mom was here with me because we had tried to go do some Black Friday shopping, but I was just feeling so I was in so much pain that I just said, Mom, I got to go home. So I went
Mhm.
home to get some rest. And long story short, I ended up in the ambulance, had to come pick me up from the house and rush to the hospital. And it turned out that I was hemorrhaging inside, so I had to have emergency surgery. And they
Wow.
wanted to just remove the ovary, remove the cyst from my ovary that was bleeding. But they said the more they kept trying to remove the cyst, the more I kept bleeding. So they ended up having to remove my entire ovary in order to
Okay.
get me to stop bleeding. So that left me with one ovary. So when
Okay.
my friend told me about a presentation I can go to that could test for my ovarian reserve, I said, okay, I'll go because I wanted to see with me just having one ovary, how, how
Right.
much, because at this point, I'm still trying to have kids and everything. I just want to see was that a factor why,
Do you
it
mind
was a struggle for me.
telling us how old you were when you went to that, when you the presentation?
I was about 33 or 34
Okay, so
when I went.
you hadn't hit the 35 TikTok time.
Right, but I'm still, in baby age, I'm still considered old. I remember when I was
Mm.
32 and I went to my annual exam, and my OB gave me this sheet of paper that said what to do at 32. Basically, like, okay, you ain't got no kids. Are we gonna freeze these eggs? Are we trying to get pregnant? What we gonna do?
Right.
Um, so I was running around in like 30, 33, 34 range, age range, and so I went to the presentation. Of course, it was put on by our fertility, doctors here in Atlanta, and met with the doctor. Her name was Dr. Beth, beautiful, beautiful lady. And when they got the lab work done, yes, Dr. Monica Best. She is the best, let me tell you. I've referred some people to her, and there's some proud mommies right
Nice.
now. But when we was after I got my blood test done, I had to go back into a consultation with her. She told me about my ovarian reserve, which was low, but I expected it to be low because I only have one ovary. Um,
Right.
but she was more interested in, my past history because I had, talked to her and told her how I had a daughter in 2015 that I had birthed and had passed away and had been trying to get
Mhm.
pregnant, and it wasn't
I'm
happening.
sorry about your loss
Mm-hmm.
there.
Thank you. And so she wanted to run some more tests to see why was, it being so hard, it was so hard for me to get pregnant. And so she had me take some tests and everything, and it turned out that my fallopian tubes were blocked,
Mm.
which was why I wasn't getting pregnant. And long story short, she basically told me that my only option of getting pregnant was through IVF, that I couldn't conceive naturally.
So
So,
at that time, were you with someone, or were you married, single, divorced? Like, what was your situation at that time while you were trying to? I done dug something up now. If you want to pass, we can pass. It's up to you.
it's fine. No, I've never been married. I was in a long term relationship with the father of my daughter I had that had passed. We were together for quite some years. And actually, after she passed away, that actually kind of destroyed our relationship, and we ended up
Mm.
breaking up. So I still, wanted to have kids. I remember after I gave birth to my daughter, even after she passed, the doctors told me that, because of like some health issues I had, they did some blood tests, a whole lot of stuff. Basically told me that if I wanted to have kids, I need to be trying sooner rather than later. Like, go
Oh,
home, and
wow.
once you start recovering from this, you need to start trying. Because
Right.
I was getting to a point where the longer I waited, each year I waited, it decreased the odds that, me getting pregnant would happen. And then I even found out later that IVF was my only option. And I was like, okay, I really want to have kids, especially coming after, the death or the passing of my daughter. I
Hmm.
just did not like that being the end of my motherhood,
Yeah.
journey, my motherhood story. You know, when you get to a certain age, the first thing people ask you is like, oh, you have any kids? And then
Girl,
that's when
at
you go
every
straight to,
function, every
right,
function.
right. And it's like, okay, yeah, I had a daughter, but she died, and
Hmm.
I just didn't want that to be the end of my
Right.
motherhood story. So I really wanted to try to have kids again. And you know, the guy I was with, we had broken up, and I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, these dating streets ain't it ain't popping.
They
So
tough. It's
right,
this.
it's tough. So I had to weigh, my options. Do I want to continue to wait and get back out there, start dating, and who knows how long that'll take
Hmm.
to find someone, meet someone, then fall in love, and get married and then have kids. I mean, that could be another 3 to 5 years down the line,
Yeah.
and that can push me outside of that window of opportunity to have kids.
Right.
So, I decided, okay, if IVF is my only option of having kids, it's unfortunate. I don't, want to do this alone, but I
Hmm.
want to have kids, and I'm not willing to wait for Mr. Right to come along. He
Hmm.
may come, he may not, but I don't want to risk on not being able to be a mom because I'm waiting on a man, basically. So I decided to, do it on my own. Said I just,
Okay.
by this time,
So,
I'm a pharmacist, I'm making good money. I have my own
right.
home and everything. And I said, if I got to do this by myself, I just have to do it.
Right. Right. So, how
Mm-hmm.
old were you when you started the IVF process?
So I was about 35 once I started.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it was a process for me. It wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna do the IVF,
Well,
and I was
take
pregnant
us
the
through
next
that.
month.
What was that process like? I know you got to poke yourself a lot, and that makes me nervous even
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
take us through your process of what that IVF was
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, well, for me, it was indeed a journey because before I can even get into the poking yourself process, a lot of stuff had to be done prior to that. One, there was the issue of the blocked fallopian tubes that I had, and my doctor told me that one of my tubes was like just blocked, but the other tube was blocked because it was filled with fluid.
Mm,
And she
okay.
gave me this medical term for I forget the name of it, but what this fluid can do is that this fluid can be toxic and
Mm,
it can prevent sperm from meeting with the egg, or if I was to get pregnant, that fluid could seep from my fallopian tubes and down into my uterus and abort the baby.
wow.
um,
Okay.
and so basically her recommendation was I needed to get that fallopian tube removed.
Okay.
um, if I'm, because with IVF, it's a heavy financial investment. They want to make sure that your womb and everything is in perfect environment for
Right.
bringing in a child. Um, so the way it worked for me was I had to go through the process one of getting the eggs. So I had to go through this whole protocol of shooting myself up with the hormones and the meds and everything to start trying to produce the eggs and everything. And then I had to have a surgery for them to remove the eggs. And that's one thing I didn't know. I didn't know getting your eggs removed. When you freeze eggs, I didn't know that was a surgery.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
it was a full-on surgery. I had to do a pre-op appointment, report to a surgery center, and they put me under, to go out and retrieve my eggs.
Okay. You
and
see me getting nervous over here?
yes,
It ain't even happening to
yes,
me, and I'm getting nervous for
right.
you.
I'm like, whoa, I didn't know this was a surgery. Just
Right.
getting my eggs retrieved. But yeah, that was a surgery. So I had to go through that, and my plan was that they would remove my eggs. At this point, I had to pick my donor and everything, and
What was that
um,
part like?
it was like Amazon. It was like shopping online. It's like an Amazon and like a dating profile all in one. Like you type in what you want. I mean, it was quite interesting. Like you type in, you select the sperm bank that you want to use. And my doctor's
Uh-huh.
office, the fertility office, she provided me with several different clinics or whatnot. Um, some in Atlanta, some out of state. I chose to use one out of state because I didn't want to come back and
You're like,
find
why
out
does
that
kid
I
look
didn't
like this
have
guy I'm on a date with? Hold on.
it. So I said, let me pick a sperm bank in another state. I don't want my kids coming out looking like somebody I went to high school with.
Right. Girl. Okay. All right.
So you can choose what you want, whether you're looking for the father to be of a certain race, um, which that was big for me. I did want the father to be African American like me, and you just search through a database, just like these dating sites and everything. You pick you can look at them, and they have an extensive like history and like more about these people than about dudes you meet, just out, they with like a whole health history, family health history. Um,
Mm.
they even have pictures, like they have baby pictures, and they even have adult photos, which was surprising to me. So I was like, how do they keep this anonymous if you're submitting adult photos? Now,
Yeah, that's
the
interesting.
donor that I chose just had a like a childhood photo. Looks like he was probably like around 5 or 6. He didn't have an adult photo,
Okay.
but they have interviews with him, so I was able to hear his voice. They asked him series of questions. Yes, so I got to hear his voice, know
Mhm.
about his upbringing. He's very smart, intelligent. He like got a degree in like working like IT. He played basketball, football,
Oh, wow.
I think baseball.
Wow,
So he's
that is
very
so cool.
athletic. I know his blood type. They screen, they test him for all these different like diseases and genetic conditions and
Right.
everything. I know about his mom's sisters, his brothers, his fathers, his grandparents, like all their health history is there. And that was important for me too, knowing about him because I know I'm a carrier of the sickle cell trait. So it was
Okay.
important to me that, I picked a donor who, also did not, have that trait. 'Cause I didn't want to, have a child that might have sickle cell or something like that.
Okay.
So they said it's so funny because they give a description of him, and it said that they said that he resembled Ludacris.
Oh, okay.
So that's a description. They say, yeah, he's a nice, has nice teeth, chiseled features, broad shoulders, that he resembles Ludacris. Like that's what his profile description said.
Wow, that's cool.
Right. With the childhood photo, he's a very adorable boy. I don't see how you can morph Ludacris, out of that, but that's my little running joke when I tell people Ludacris my baby daddy.
I love that. I love that. Okay,
So,
so you picked
so
him, you get
right, you
started
pick
in your
him,
process.
and then you go
Okay.
online and you just order, the
The juice.
the sperm.
Okay.
You just
I'd like
and
to
I
call
was
it baby batter, but
right,
call it what you will.
and I was being possessive, so I ordered up all that he had. I was like, he ain't gonna be having no other babies by no other women, so I bought up all his
Oh no. No siblings other than these. Okay, gotcha.
right.
Okay.
But they don't send, the sperm to you. You have to tell them which doctor's office you're working with, and they ship it directly to them. They keep it, they store it, clean it, wash it, do whatever they do, and then have it ready when it's time for you to do your your whole IVF process. So it was quite fun, reading the profiles, like, do I like him? Do I like him?
Uh-huh.
I will say that there weren't a lot of black male donors.
I've heard that.
Yeah, so on the site I went to, I think their database had like 400 something donors, but only like 14 of them were black.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's not a lot
Mm.
at all. But I
Okay.
picked one.
Quick question.
Uh huh.
While you're in this process, did you at all think of someone you knew that you were like, maybe so and so, like the relationship ain't good, but he's got the juice? Like, was there anybody that you thought about that for before going into the database?
I thought I tried to think of some dudes, but I was just like, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go
Too
with
messy?
right, too messy.
Gotcha.
It would have
Okay.
been a cheaper route. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not just that easy to do that. Even with doing the in vitro with at least with the doctor's office that I was going, the practice I was going through, like you have to be, married or whatnot in order to do it. And
Oh,
yeah, right. And if you just wanted to pick a dude, say, well, we're not married, but we agreed that he gonna let me use his sperm to get a baby. It's a whole legal process you have to go through. You have to meet with an attorney and get a drafted document, really laying out all the terms, agreeing to whether he's gonna have rights, no rights, this and that. So it's a whole like legal process that you have to go through. You
okay.
can't just walk in and say, okay, I'm gonna do IVF, I'm gonna use his sperm. Like if you're not married,
Yeah.
no, it's not that easy.
Gotcha.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you've picked your guy. What was there any significance to the date in which you wanted to conceive? It's still conception, right? Conceive or get
Right.
implanted.
Right. There was no set day for me. And one thing I will say about my donor when I was picking them that was important for me is that I picked a graduate donor. And what that means is that his identity is not known, but he's a graduate donor, meaning that when my kids turn 18, they can call up to the sperm bank and they will give them the contact information so they can contact the father. So
Oh, okay.
they do so, and we'll cross that bridge, when we get there.
Right,
But at
right.
least that's an option that I said, well, if I do, if this works and I do have kids, at least they will, have the opportunity,
Yeah.
hopefully if he's still living, that they'll get to know him and meet him when they turn 18 if they choose to. So I thought that was important, and
Yeah.
I like
I definitely like that
that.
option
Mm-hmm.
because, it's, the child's an adult now and they can just make that decision and just
Right.
to have that option to be
Mm-hmm.
like, I do want to see my father if he's still living or whatever. So, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So you picked your guy,
Mm-hmm.
you picked your date and you did all the things that you needed to do to conceive. Now, did you intentionally go in with with two, or like how did that go?
Well, first, before we can even get to them, after
Okay.
I, got the sperm and get to the doctor's office, the whole plan was for me to have the process where they will, retrieve my eggs. They'll go ahead and fertilize the egg and the sperm and everything together, and then they will freeze them while I go off to have my surgery.
Okay.
Of course, I had to have the surgery, get the fallopian tubes removed, and also I had uterine polyps. When they did an ultrasound, they
Mm,
saw that I had uterine polyps that I had to get them removed because that can prevent and cause problems with trying to conceive. So I had to do like a 2-for-1 surgery where
okay.
they, I had the surgery, they removed the eggs and everything, they mixed it with the sperm and everything, they froze it, and I went to have another surgery to get the fallopian tube removed, clean out the uterus, get all the polyps removed. And then, once that was done, everything revolves around your cycle. Like
Right.
they always say, okay, call us when your period come on, because that's when you start a lot of your shots and injections and
Okay.
everything. So after I did my recovery period from the surgery, now we're ready to start the process of trying to, prepare the womb and everything for the transfer.
Okay.
And so that's the process. You have to wait, till your period come on. You call them, and they have a whole protocol. Now everyone's, regimen is different, but it's a lot of meds. It's a lot of shots. It's I was doing shots. I was doing like shots in my abdomen, shots in my behind, vaginal tablet inserts. I was wearing hormone patches. It was a lot. It was a lot that you have to do. And it's a very strict regimen. Like on day one, you put on one patch. On day two, you do this and that. On day three, add another patch. It's a very strict regimen that you have to go by. And when it's getting close to time for them to do the transfer, you got to go in, you do one final ultrasound because they schedule your date. They do one final ultrasound right before your date so they can make sure everything is good. Well, when I went in for my final ultrasound right before my transfer date,
Mm-hmm.
my uterine polyps had grown back. Yes.
No.
So
Okay.
we had to stop everything, and I had to go and have another surgery
Wow. Okay.
to remove the polyps again. So so all these are like, months, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just setback after setback. So I had to pause everything, go
Mm-hmm.
in, wait, schedule another surgery, have the surgery, remove the polyps and everything. Then have to wait till I recover, then wait till your cycle starts, then, order more meds so you can start the whole process all over again.
Okay.
Which I did, and finally got to the point where they did my ultrasound. Everything looked good. The IVF transfer is good to go. So now I got my date set to go
Mm-hmm.
in and do a transfer. Now my doctor did ask me. She was like, are you okay with having twins? Because they put two in you, two embryos in you, because they want to increase the odds that it'll work. I went
Right.
in with a 48%, chance that this whole thing would even work.
Right.
So, if you just put one embryo in, it doesn't take, then it's more money if you got to keep trying and trying and trying. So they'll put two in at a time to increase the odds, the likelihood that at least one of them will take and, lead to a pregnancy. So I was just like, yeah. Because I'm just, I just want a baby.
Yeah.
My body's been struggling trying to just get one baby. Yeah, let's just do it or whatnot. And I did it. We went in for the transfer. That was an experience. It was just like getting a pap smear. You go into the
Okay.
room, you put your legs up on the stirrups.
Mm-hmm.
They got like this long little tube or whatnot. They even had a picture of my little embryo cells or whatnot on the wall. Um, and so you lift your legs up to put the little tube and they guide it in, and you can see on the monitor what they're doing. And then they
So
say,
for
all
this, you're not under. You're
right,
fully
yes,
awake.
you're fully awake for the transfer. You're fully
Okay.
awake. It's just like going to get an pap smear. You just got the legs
Yeah.
locked up, and instead of them sticking that little speculum thing in, it's like a long little tube, and they stick that and they guide it all the way to your uterus or whatnot. They do whatever, and then they, pull it out, and then you're done. It's like 5, 10 minutes, and
Okay.
then you have to do what they call this the 2 week wait,
Okay. Yeah.
where you have
I've heard of that.
you have to wait 2 weeks after that, and then you go in and they do a blood test to see if you're pregnant or whatnot. And so I did that, waited my 2 weeks, went in for my blood test, and it did not work. It did not take. Mm-mm. So the babies, both of the babies they put in me, you know, I consider that a loss.
Yeah.
But because it didn't work. It didn't take. So now it's back to the drawing board. Met with my doctor
Okay.
again. She's like, I don't understand, or this doesn't work. And she actually wanted me to go in and have another surgery to remove that other fallopian tube. And I was like, no, I'm not. I said, I can't do any more surgeries. I can't have you all take any more body parts out of me. Because at this point, I'm down an ovary. I'm down one fallopian tube. If you take out my other one, I'm not going to feel like a lady. You taking out my lady
Mm.
parts.
I can imagine that there's a lot of mental anguish that you're dealing with going through all the surgeries and everything. So I get that,
Right,
wanting to be
right.
like, I don't want to have another surgery. I get
Right. And
that.
this is all within like the same, like a year's time span.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like being put under, and I don't want to keep getting put under whatnot. You know what I mean? Because it's just,
Right.
you know. So she changed and put me on this other protocol, what was like high antibiotics, and I mean I was taking up to like 13 pills a day, two or three
Wow.
shots a day. It was just a lot, and I honestly wanted to give up, but I was too invested at this point. I paid the money. I've already started. It's like once you start, you can't stop. You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah.
keep it going. And so did all that. Did the process again. Now I'm back to the point. I'm taking the shots every day and getting my body ready. And I went in
Mhm.
for my ultrasound. Everything looked good. So that's like, okay, the polyp's not back. And they set my my IVF transfer date. Actually, it was on, I remember because it was December the 11th. It was on my mom's birthday. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, whew. I said, okay, maybe that's a good sign of my mom's birthday. But I was like, man, it's in December at this point. So I was like, okay, after this, I got to wait 2 weeks. I said, that's going to push me right around Christmas. I said, this either going to be the best Christmas of my life or it's going to be the worst Christmas of my life. And so I remember on December 23rd, I got a call. I was actually on the way to the cemetery to put Christmas decorations down on my daughter's grave. And the nurse
Hmm.
called me and she was like, congratulations, you are pregnant. And I just
Wow.
broke down crying. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so with them, so unlike with like I guess a natural conception or whatever, you don't always know, and sometimes you're a month in or 2 months or whatever. With you knowing the exact moment, did that make you more anxious, or were you just like, I got this? Like, how did you feel?
I was real scared. I was nervous because again, just all that I went
Yeah,
through was trying
yeah.
to carry my first daughter. I was just nervous, like, will my body be able to handle this pregnancy? Because with my first daughter, I developed severe preeclampsia. And that's just when
Okay.
like your blood pressure starts skyrocketing, your organs basically start shutting down. That's why I had to get rushed to the hospital and have an emergency C-section. I was only 24 weeks. So she
Mm,
was very
okay.
premature when I had her. And, the doctors only gave me like a 50, they didn't give me, I was like a 50% chance that she would live or she would pass. And even if she did survive, they was like, it'd be like a 70% she will have long term, disabilities and kind of health issues and whatnot. Um, so the fact that my body and my doctors even told me after she passed away, I was still in the hospital. Then I remember the doctor came in and told me, he was like, you may not agree or with our decision to, take her when we did, but if we went ahead and had the C-section, both you and her would have died.
Oh,
Like
wow.
that's how serious it was. That's how bad, it was just taking over my body, and my body was, going downhill fast.
Yeah.
Um, So when I found out that I was pregnant, I was excited, but then I'm nervous, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
can my body handle this? Um, am I going to, go through, the same thing again? Um, but one of the things they did test me for when I started seeing a fertility doctor, because I had lost my daughter, and a couple of years before that, I had gotten pregnant, had a miscarriage. Just trying to figure out why I was just losing all my babies. She ran, I was taking a lot of tests. And in
Right.
addition to finding out that my fallopian tubes were blocked, I found out that I had some blood conditions like a lupus anticoagulant syndrome or something like that.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean I have lupus, but it's basically like an autoimmune thing where like your
Mm.
body, your blood, it just predisposes your blood to clots and things like that. And in women, it really manifests itself with miscarriages and early, births that result in death. Pretty much everything that I was going through.
Right.
And when they found out I tested, positive for that condition, um, they told me it was certain medications I would have to be on blood thinner shots and aspirin if I were ever to get pregnant again to prevent my blood from clotting and things like that. So there were precautions and a plan in place for me, but I was still very nervous.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but I was
Adrian said that your sound is a little bit muffled. Um, hmm. And you said you're on your AirPods, right? Yeah, I don't know.
you want me
We could try
to take
going
them
out and
out?
coming back in. What'd you say? You said you want to try taking them out?
You want me to take them out and see if that
Try
changes?
that and we'll see. But if there's
Okay.
an echo, then I'll restart the. Okay, go ahead and say something.
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Adrian, if you're still there, can you let us know if the sound is good? I'd appreciate it. Okay. Okay. My
Okay.
other cousin said that they can hear fine now. Okay. All right. So where were
Okay.
we? We got the babies. No, wait. They were doing some
Pregnant.
tests for you after you conceived. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, the doctor told me I'm pregnant. And then she put a bug in my ear. She was like, congratulations, you're pregnant. And, with your numbers, she said, I think you're having twins. So she put a bug in my ear
Okay.
very early on. Because I think
Wow.
they draw your blood. They're trying to measure, the amount of pregnancy hormone that's there. And I think the number they're looking for, she said, was around 50. If it's 50 or higher, that means you're pregnant.
Okay.
And she said my number was 510.
Okay. And this is at the beginning. So,
Right.
okay.
This was at the beginning. And you get excited, but you still can't, get too excited because you have to go back like every couple of days, every week for a couple of weeks. You have to keep measuring your
Right.
blood levels to make sure that it's rising and not, decreasing. Because some people will get that first test and numbers will be high. And then when they come back a week later, the numbers have dropped and everything. So I still had my breath held because I was like, okay, she says I'm pregnant. But every time I would go get my blood checked, the numbers would just get higher and higher. And I think the last time they checked, it was at like 50,000 or something. So,
Okay.
and yeah, so that's how the pregnancy started.
All right. So, was there anything that happened in the end, or I mean, in the middle, or do you want to kind of skip to the end when you went into labor, or how all of that went?
Right. Yeah, we can skip to the end. The pregnancy was pretty much a normal pregnancy. I didn't have too many complications and everything. So, everything went well with the pregnancy. Surprisingly, because I was apprehensive about how my body would be able to handle, not only one baby, but two. But it was no complications. It was, pretty much a smooth pregnancy.
All righty. So, the day you go into labor, how does that, or do they schedule a C-section? What happens that day?
Yes. So I had a C-section scheduled, and I remember because it was supposed to be towards the end of August, and it's so funny because after I had got my date scheduled, just like now, it was when Beyonce had just came out and said, I'm having a tour, and it was going to be August, da da da. And I was like, oh Lord, my due date. So I remember going to my doctor because I had picked a team of all Black female doctors. And I told her, I said,
Okay.
okay, now we got to schedule this t-shirt date around this Beyonce concert because I got to get
Lot.
my And she looked at me, she said, girl, I'm trying to get my tickets too.
That's what I'm talking about. We're going to work together on this
Right.
thing.
I said, okay, so we're here with this. Okay, let's get this baby out the way because I got to be down at the stadium because I got to see Beyonce when she come. I don't miss Beyonce when she come in. These babies are not. I'm going to see Beyonce. But my C-section was actually scheduled for early August of 2018, but they actually ended up coming early. I was at home. A couple of weeks prior to me having them, I had an episode where I woke up one morning thinking I had to go use the bathroom, and I got up, and before I made it to the bathroom, all this blood just started gushing out
Oh,
of me.
Jesus.
Like all this
Okay.
blood, and my heart just started beating. I was just like, I knew it. I'm losing my babies. Thought of this night, this ambulance had to come, rush me to the hospital. But by the grace of God, everything was fine.
How many weeks were you at that time?
At this time, I was about like 31 weeks or something like that. I was around that time.
So you got the big belly by now.
I got the big belly
Okay.
by now, and I was like, oh, I got this close to the end, and I'm losing them. You know, I was just, I mean, it was a lot of blood. It was a lot of blood, just all on the floor, just, you know. But it turned out the babies were fine and everything. They kept me in the hospital for a couple of days. And then they sent me back home, and they told me if I started bleeding again to come back. And at this point, so when I got like around like a week or so later, I was 33 weeks. I was huge. I mean, I was just, I couldn't even breathe. I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't even breathe. And I remember
do you mind if I ask, how tall are you?
I'm like 5'7".
Okay, I'm 5'6", so I was like, dang, so that didn't make a difference, huh? They were still squishing your lungs.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just get to the point where it's just uncomfortable. Everything, it was just uncomfortable to breathe. Like just sitting here breathing, I was like, I can't do this. I mean, no way that I could sit or turn. I was just uncomfortable. And then I was peeing every 5 minutes. It got to the point where I just said, let me just take a pillow and just stay on the toilet. Because literally by the time I make it back to the bed, I got to pee again.
Wow.
And I just remember I was on the phone with my best friend. I'm like, girl, I got like 6 more weeks. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make it. I said, I can't take this. And then the next time I went to go get up and go pee, I noticed a little blood. And it wasn't a lot. It was a little bit. But I said, oh, I'm not taking my chances.
Right.
Let me go on and go to the hospital. And then I went to the hospital, and you know, they told me that my water had broken. I was like, what? Yeah, because you think when your water break, you know, that's the hole. You stand up and all the water come out and everything. I never had that. I was looking forward to it. But she was like, she felt in between legs. She said, oh, your water has broken. We got to deliver you now. I was like, what? And,
oh, wow. Well, it's good that you went when you went then.
Right. It was a Saturday night, and I went ahead and they rushed me to the room, and I had my C-section right then. It came early Sunday morning at 5:11. My son came out at 5:13. My daughter came out.
Okay, so what's their birthday?
July the 15th.
July. Okay, so and the concert was in August.
Right.
So the most important thing, were you able to make it to the concert? No, I'm just kidding.
To the concert.
Okay, you like, somebody gonna watch these babies. I'll be back.
Right.
Well, congratulations again on the babies and making it to see Beyonce. So, do you want to say your children's names or anything about them?
It's Layla and Landon, and they are just a joy. They're my heart, and it's been a lot of work. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's not all glitz and glams, and it's more, you know, bad days that are good sometimes because it's just a lot.
Yeah.
You know, especially because
how old are they now?
They are 4. They'll be 5 in July, so they're like 4 and a half, ready to turn 5, and it's just been a lot since they were born because it's 2 of them, so it's always something to do. I tell people it's just everything times 2. I gotta feed this baby, I gotta feed that baby, and I gotta change this diaper, I gotta change that diaper, I gotta do everything times 2, and it's never time to. it's just always something to do. And it was hardest when I first got home with them.
Yeah.
I was just like, I almost called my fertility doctor back and asked, do they take a refund? Because I was like, okay.
Not the refund.
Like, what's your return policy?
Wow. So, okay, so with them being early, did they have to stay in the hospital any additional time or?
They did, and to my surprise, I'm thinking that they're gonna be in the NICU for like a month. You know, you hear stories, you always hear about
Yeah.
in a NICU for 6 months, this and that. I thought it was gonna be in there for a while. They were in it for like a week, and they was like, "You can take them home."
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, that was
Wow.
the same expression. I was like, huh?
With me, they'll take them to my house.
Right. You know, because at first, after I got released from the hospital, I would just go up there every day, feed them, hold them for a couple hours, and I'd go back to the house.
Right.
I was like, okay, I like this right here. I can do this. But then one day it was like, oh, you can take them home on Thursday. I was like, huh? Like,
Wow.
I mean, I wasn't ready. The house wasn't ready.
Oh yeah, because they came early. Duh. I'm like, what? Okay.
Early, and I wasn't ready, and I have no experience with kids. Like, you know, I don't have any nieces or nephews or, you know, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, you want me to take 2 babies home? Like, that should be, it should be illegal for someone to take 2 humans home who don't demonstrate any type of proficiency in being able to care. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. The nurses that they show me how to change diapers, do all this stuff. And I was like, I don't know. And I got to take both of these home and keep them alive. It was so scary because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared I'm going to drop them. All this kind of stuff. And it's just a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot. Very, very. My time is not my own anymore. Everything, you know, revolves around them. And the fact that I'm doing it, you know, by myself or whatnot.
And so that was that's actually one of my questions. I was wondering, are you in any type of like support group, or do you just have family, or like how does that work? I mean, I guess it would typically work probably how just like a regular single mom, you know, does things. But for you, was there anything special that you did as far as getting support?
You know, I didn't. I'm not in any support groups. You know, I have family, but not really. Like, they there with me in spirit.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
A lot of the burden falls on me. And that's one of the things that I'm learning now is, you know, trying to find ways to reach out and ask for help. Because you think when you have babies, you know, I work around so many women and older women who, you know, when their kids have babies, they're like, oh, my grandbabies, I can't wait for my grandbabies, I'm going to do this and that. And, you know, I've talked to women who say they can't even hold their own child because everybody wanted everyone. So I thought that was going to be my situation.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
Everybody like the pictures on Facebook.
Right. You going to get that double tap, but they not talking about, can I come babysit for a few hours? Write that down because I got some babysitting in my reserve. I've been babysitting nephews and nieces for about 14 years now, so I'm like, hold on now, somebody owe me. I am not pregnant, by the way, in case anyone pops in here real quick and heard that part. I am not pregnant at this moment. Okay. Okay. And I know this is a little controversial, even using this G word, but I just have to use it. Did you feel any guilt about solo parenting, or I don't know any other word? Because that's what I feel like outside people would use. But did you feel any type of way about choosing to solo parent?
I did. Not necessarily guilt. There is a little guilt because I feel like I grew up in a single parent household, mm-hmm. and I know how much I really wanted to have a father like present in my life and in the home with me. And I feel like I'm turning around and denying my kids with that same, you know, with the opportunity. I'm basically putting them in the same situation that I was in. So it's a little guilt on that part. But more so, it was kind of like shame or embarrassment, you know, a little bit, you know, because, you know, I had to go the route of, you know, using a donor, I would think, at my age and, just being, such a good person, a good woman that, if I felt some kind of way that out of, the guys that I've dated and met, that no one at this point had, thought enough of me to, wanted to like marry me and have kids or have, build a family with me. And so the fact that I had to, use a donor because, I wasn't in a relationship, and no man, wanted to have kids with me, that, it kind of made me feel some kind of way. Didn't have to tell people.
Right.
I still struggle with how to tell people because, the first thing, when you have twins, it's such a, the first question, the twins run in your family. I'm like, no, they don't. Oh, well, what about the father? That's always the second question. So then it's like, okay, do I tell these strangers my business? Do I just
Right, because it ain't none of their business.
Right,
but go ahead.
Sometimes, but I notice when I just keep it short, I'm like, no. When you start keeping it short, most people
They
know
get
how
the hint.
Right, and get the hint and know how to move on. But just more so, that kind of almost like embarrassment a little bit because everyone else is out there getting married and having kids, and here I am, ordering my sperm on Amazon.
Lord, not Amazon. Well, let me just say personally, I feel like you should feel no shame, no guilt, no anything. You have to make the choices that are best for you. I'm gonna make the choices that's best for me. Sometimes we plan to have this family and with the father and this and all that, and it just doesn't work out that way. I mean, with the divorce rate over 50%, it's a lot of people in single households, whether they chose to go through Amazon or they divorce. I'm somewhat recently divorced, so I totally get it. So I got two things. Okay, what was something that surprised you about solo parenting that you were like, okay, I was not quite prepared for that, or was there anything?
I think the biggest surprise was one, the breastfeeding. I didn't breastfeed. I tried to do the breastfeeding thing, but they could never latch, or I didn't know if they were latching to get fed. So I just chose to just kind of pump and just feed them in the bottle. But in the hospital, when the lactation nurse came and gave me my pumping schedule, that was a shock because I remember the schedule. Huh?
It's a schedule.
Yeah. And it was basically like pumping like every 2 to 3 hours. And she had this whole schedule written down as far as when I pump and when I feed baby A and pump and feed baby B and do this. And I remember looking at the schedule, I was like, okay, if I pump at 9, then get at 11. I said, when do I go to sleep?
Right.
Said,
Ooh, okay, because I like my sleep. Okay. Oh.
I was like, I almost started crying. When I looked at the schedule, I was like, you mean every 2 hours, every 3 hours, I got to be pumping? Like, when do I go to sleep? When can I go to, like, that was the biggest shock, that whole pumping schedule. I was like,
Okay, making me more nervous now. So I wanted to ask you, what is something that people need to not ask you when they do see you with your children or do want to say congratulations, or they see the cute babies and they're like, oh, they got their matching outfits. What is something people need to stop asking or stop saying because it ain't none of their business, or they just shouldn't be asking it? What are some of those things?
One, just, I know twins is just a conversation starter, the whole, the twins running your family. But like I said, the biggest thing, that question about, so what about the father? And, just, asking those questions. And, I'm an open book, I don't mind. But I remember when they were newborns and I would go out places with them, like, I see how celebrities be when they don't want to be bothered. Because it's like, I could not even go to the grocery store without 50,000 people flocking to me. Oh, are they twins? Oh, and then it's like, oh, the twins from your family. Oh, then everybody got a twin story. Either they a twin, their mama twin, they got twins. And I'm like, look, I'm on a pumping schedule.
Right.
I'm just trying to run here, get some formula, and come on now. I mean, literally, like, I almost wanted to put a sign up on the stroller and be like, "Do not touch," like, because
Right.
they would just come, and it's like I didn't mind the people looking at things. It was like, y'all holding me up. I don't got time to tell. Like this story we just had, I gotta
Yes.
repeat the same story every time I go out.
Woo.
Someone come up to me, and then when they finally walk away, I'll go up a few more steps. Somebody else come, "Oh, are they twins?" I'm like, "God damn!" And then I
Mm.
gotta start the
Wow.
whole story all over again or whatnot. But I know it's just all in love and everything. But
Yeah.
that was the biggest. I remember one time I was in Hobby Lobby just trying to look for some stuff, and one of the babies was asleep, and one of the sales associates, she was looking at in the in the stroller, and then I think one of them opened their eyes. She said, "They're awake." And when I tell you, she called every sales associate in the Hobby Lobby came, and they just staring at the at the stroller.
Wow.
I'm like, "Look, y'all has to go." To be up,
That's
but
crazy.
but everyone has been supportive. It's a lot of people, especially like my coworkers, like they haven't asked me any questions, and it's just so funny to see the expression on their faces and whatnot. Because here I am, imagine you work with someone,
Yeah.
you never heard her talk about a husband or a boyfriend, nothing. Then all of a sudden she got this big old belly.
Yeah, I
So
can
they want
imagine.
to ask questions, but they don't want to ask, and this and that. So it just be just so funny to me.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and having
Yeah.
this chat with me. Um, is there anything that you want to close out with? Any words of wisdom, any advice, anything you wish you would have known, anything like that to close out this chat that we've had?
Yes, I definitely want to say that women are starting to go this route now of choosing to solo parent and bring a child in the world by their own on their own and raise them on their own, I should say. And it's really nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed about. I say, if it's something worth exploring and looking into, and if you feel that it's right for you, you should definitely, do it. And you'll always have a village of support, and just make sure you find your tribe of people that can help you. I don't regret doing it. Do I, wish I would have, gotten married and all this and had the babies? Yes, but that wasn't the journey that God planned for me, and I'm just grateful that I was in a position that I was able to do this, and it worked. And, I have two beautiful
I
babies
know.
that,
I'll be seeing them.
uh, that if I was waiting, I'd still be waiting for a man and, missing out on, this beautiful experience, of motherhood. So, it's definitely more and more women doing it. I've been lately even following, women on YouTube who, talk about their journey of it. So it's definitely a tribe of women who are doing this, and it's becoming more common. And, not to negate, and, I don't want it to say like I'm promoting, you don't need a man, you can do it on your own. That's definitely not the case, because I'm all about love and union and two-parent household and the families. But if that's not, what's going on for you, and you're single and you're getting up a certain age, and you want to have kids, you know, if you can do this and it's something that can work for you, I say do it, and don't be ashamed, and because you'll get your blessing, and
Right.
I'll be
Or
my
two
knight in
blessings.
shining armor, somewhere down the line, but if you don't come, that's okay. I have my kids. It brings such a joy to my heart, and I'm glad I went through it. I definitely don't regret. Now I still have two more embryos, and
Oh yeah,
and
I did have
it's
that question on here, but I didn't want to be all up in your uterus. Um, so is that a possibility for you to possibly have more? You like, I don't know if they need to do one at a time, huh?
I say I don't want to have any more kids unless, one, I'm married, um, and two, if I'm in a position I don't have to work. Sorry,
Okay.
not sorry, because that's been the biggest struggle of it all,
Right.
is trying to raise the kids and working. If I
Yeah.
didn't have to get up and go to work every day, that's one thing. But I'm not having kids if I gotta work, and I definitely don't want to do it alone. I do want to be married, and I'm
afraid I'm gonna have twins again, and I don't want that. That's
You like
my
one was
thing.
enough. One set is good. I got you. I
Right.
got you. Just in case, because you never know who might be watching. Are you currently single?
I am very single.
Okay. So we're gonna turn this last little few minutes into a little dating interview. Okay, so your ideal guy, give me three qualities that you would like him to have, physical and then three non-physical, because we all got preferences.
Right. Physical. I just like a well-groomed man.
Okay.
Just easy on the eyes, easy on my eyes.
Okay.
Well-groomed, take care of himself, dresses, nice and not just sloppy or whatnot. Great teeth. Um, and non-physical, just someone who, would value, me as a woman and, what I can bring to your life, someone who adds value to me. That's one of the things I'm looking for now. I think I've spent all of my dating years, trying to prove my worth to a man.
Hmm.
Like, no more. I know what I'm worth. I know what I'm capable of. I know that any man that'll be with me is not gonna find anyone better than me. So I'm not
Hello.
out there trying to prove myself no more. Instead, I need to be looking what value can he add to me? And if he can't add any value to my life, it's not gonna work. Um, I'm I'm a lady. I believe in gender roles and all like that.
Okay.
Don't like a man who do all that. What you bring to the table. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Don't come to me talking
Don't do
about a
that.
table. I like a
Okay.
man who can be a provider for, me and, our family. And just be a man like my granddaddy. I mean, that just really sums it up.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know if they still
they,
making them
they,
like that, but
they
we're gonna
don't,
do our best.
they don't, but a man who's just a man
A man.
who accepts his role as a
Okay.
man, his responsibility as a man, not all this, well, why should I buy you a drink? Buy me a drink. No, just
Lord,
stay first. You know
child.
what I mean? Because
We
those
gonna
are type of dudes.
have to have a whole nother live to talk about all
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
Okay, so on this dating tip, on this last, so are you okay with a man inboxing you if he happens to see this and they're like, dang, this is an awesome woman. She seems like she might be a good fit for me. Are you okay with them sliding into your
Yeah, he
inbox?
can inbox me. Mm-hmm.
Okay, y'all heard it here. Y'all heard it here.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you for anyone who joined. Lena, Deanna, EJ, who else was on here? Sierra. So you might have a couple friends
uh,
who, after I tag you in the next post, they might, be like, oh, your video, whatever. So thank you so
thank
much for
you.
joining me. This has been Amayu Raw, Real, and Uncut Solo Parenting Edition. You all have a good one. And thank you again for joining
All
me,
right.
Felicia.
Bye. Thank you.